Okay, so as Americans, we complain about problems in this country for years. They persist for generations, these problems. So many issues plaguing this country, from homelessness to terrible infrastructure. Prices are high, wages are low. And yet this bill about a damn app moved so fast through government. I mean, the two politicians who introduced this bill, did so on March 5th. Like, damn, I wish y'all were this fast with other shit, because we as a country, we got bigger fish to fry. Like, oh my God.
I'm the referee, you can't play me, baby. I'm hotter than the summer, can't shade me. I put you on a stretcher.
So I'm just gonna skip around this article, this Rolling Stone article entitled, "Will Congress Ban TikTok?" Here's what's going on. So the bill that everyone's calling the TikTok ban bill, right? It passed the House of Representatives overwhelmingly on Wednesday, and it will now move to the Senate. The Biden administration supports it. Biden said that he would sign it if it makes it to his desk. Although they're not sure how the path looks through the Senate. They're saying they don't know if they have enough votes for that shit, but we're gonna see, right? But either way, Biden said he will sign it if it gets to his desk. They're afraid that, well, ByteDance, which is this Chinese-owned company, will use the app to influence U.S. elections. They will use the app. Foreign powers can use the app to influence Americans' views and beliefs. I think in the bill, of course, it just expands the powers that they got, because I don't think it's just it's just only TikTok that they can do this kind of shit with, which I will explain, or they want to do this kind of shit with. It's just across the board, but TikTok is what they aiming at, obviously. So what is the TikTok bill and what is it proposing? So it's and this name is so, it's the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary Controlled Applications Act. So the reason why they're not calling it an outright ban is because the bill would require TikTok to sever itself completely from its Chinese parent company, ByteDance, or face a potential ban from mobile app stores and web hosting services. So I think the politicians are banking on the fact that, 150 million Americans use TikTok, right? I think this country uses TikTok the most out of any one of them, right? So I think they're counting on that, maybe expecting that TikTok does not want to lose all that audience, right? Which makes sense. But yeah, it's just basically sever yourself from ByteDance. They want the Chinese company to sell TikTok to an American one, and that's it. The bill would also create a process through which the president can designate certain social media applications with ties to foreign governments as a national security risk. So that's what I said. Although they are aiming at TikTok, right? This, of course, would apply to applications across the board. Now, one official said that he has a message for TikTok, which is to break up with the Chinese Communist Party or lose access to your American users. Now, the article goes on to pose a question, answer the question, could TikTok actually get banned in the US? Under the Constitution's First Amendment, Congress cannot outright ban the application in the US without first proving that it poses an imminent national security risk. I always love, just taking my political glasses off for a second, I just really love how we get these statements, right? Like the US government can't, the Congress can't. And I'm just like, I get it. I understand what y'all saying, but just speaking, looking at what has been going on, what has gone on in history, I'm just like, the government can do whatever the fuck they want. We can't specifically. Every time y'all come up with a rule, because remember they talk about, only Congress can deploy, and then Biden sidestepped their ass and did some shit and sent some weapons overseas anyway, or money for weapons overseas anyway. So it's just like, girl, I love all these they can't, even though y'all have proven time and time again that y'all would jump through any loophole that y'all can't. Anyway, lawmakers acknowledge that they have to prove that it poses an imminent national security risk before you can start talking about banning applications. But I don't think that will be a difficult thing to do. Like what so the US government has to prove to itself that that it sees this app as a I don't know, as a national security. I was just like, okay, girl. Like, I just don't expect for like bills like this, banning apps and stuff, to get in front of the Supreme Court and for the Supreme Court to be like, oh, well, actually, no, we don't want to ban them. Like, I fully expect us to continue going down this route 100%. And I find it so interesting how, you know, how we will literally talk about, oh, well, you know, or Americans in general will talk about other countries like, oh, well, yeah, you know, you can't go on Facebook when you go to this country, or you can't access the web when you go to certain parts of the web when you go to this country. And it's just like, okay, but we trying to do the same thing. We trying to do the same thing, girl. Like, what are y'all talking about? So the lawmakers keep insisting, oh, it's not an outright ban, even though it could lead to one. Like, girl, okay, it's not an outright ban, but rather a narrow expansion of presidential authority to better regulate the influence of foreign governments in the tech sector, even though in the bill it's not just foreign. Anyway, I just think that it's so funny that I'm funny in a bad way that, like, y'all are talking about I don't care how narrow it is, expanding presidential authority, expanding presidential power, executive branch power, right? Right before we might get this bobblehead, his orange-haired bobblehead sitting in that executive branch. Anytime they talk about, oh, it's just an expansion of powers, expansion of authority with this branch, with that branch, we need to look at exactly what the fuck they expanded, what they're talking about, okay? Because if you think this is gonna be the only instance they're gonna use that, you know what I mean? Or this is gonna be the only time they try to expand some shit, they're gonna expand on top of the expansion the next time they do some shit like this. So, you know, anytime you see them talking about, oh, we're just expanding the powers, it's like, go and look at exactly what the fuck they talking about. Go and look at exactly what powers they reaching for. So even though they're talking about, oh, it's not an outright ban, it's okay, it's not an outright ban. The article says, however, if passed, the bill could functionally mean the end of TikTok in the United States. The company would either have to separate itself from ByteDance, likely through a sale, or be blocked from app stores and web hosting services. It's not a direct ban, but rather the creation of a set conditions that would make it nearly impossible for TikTok to continue operating in the US. So it's a fucking ban. Like, girl, y'all doing all this walking around beating around the goddamn bush. Girl, it's a goddamn ban. If I put up barriers so that you cannot access this particular thing, well, I'm technically not removing the thing. It's okay, girl, you blocking my access, it's blocked, it's banned. Like, oh my god, they so annoying with that shit. That's how it be in academics sometimes, bitch. You know what the fuck I meant. You know what the fuck I'm saying, girl. So some legal experts believe that this would still be unconstitutional after the First Amendment. Some people are saying, oh, it's going to trample on the constitutional right to freedom of speech and TikTok is home to massive amounts of protected speech and association. It enables its users to discuss their opinions, share their hobbies, blah, blah, blah. And Biden's looking at y'all, the US government is looking at y'all like, exactly, girl, why the fuck you think we should? No, but I think, obviously, I mean, in my head, I think this is an obvious way to control more of, you know, messages, more of the narrative, to be able to keep your eye on things, to censor things better. Because they are really having some conversations on TikTok. They're having conversations on every social media app, right? But I think that, you know, this presents to the government a unique opportunity to be like, okay, well, girl, they're owned by China, so let's just come in and hammer down. I just don't think they're not going to hammer down all that speech. Because this whole thing with Palestine, all that shit, like, I just don't think they're going to, like, this is completely unrelated. Like, the fact that those conversations happening on TikTok, the perspectives of young people, I don't think that that is completely unrelated as to why the US officials are aiming at TikTok. Like I said, obviously, I mean, I think security and whatever the fuck is, you know, obviously it's an issue across the board. But what I'm saying is, if those kinds of conversations, if those kinds of mindsets, if young people weren't using their voice to challenge some of the things that we're seeing, right, in this country, I don't think that this bill would have moved so fast through or at least one side of Congress, right? That's fast as hell to me. I'm just like, God damn, we can't get anything passed, bitch, but y'all whole focus on TikTok? So yeah, I don't think that I think that it's definitely related to the conversations and messages that are happening, that are going on right now on TikTok, and the way that people are able to assemble and coordinate and spread, news about what's going on that maybe the mainstream media does not want to even touch or associate with. So it's just, yeah, I think they're definitely related. I would love to know what you all think. Thank you so much for watching. Love you so much, and make sure that you have a good goddamn evening.
And that's why you can't take me, you hate me. I don't want your nigga, you crazy. That nigga too lazy. I need me a nigga who could tame me. Coming through and making niggas switch teams.